You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day.
Thought it was breakfast.
Some people say that, but you know, it's just a theory.
He said it! He said it!
So the Five Nights at Freddy's movie finally released, and it very much has two sides to the story. There's how good is it for FNAF fans, and how good is it as a movie. And those are very two different answers. So I'm gonna address the elephant in the room now. Critics don't like this movie, and that's perfectly fine, by the way. You can enjoy a movie when most people don't enjoy it. That's perfectly fine. You can also not enjoy a movie that most people do enjoy. I myself do a lot of those things. Everyone has movies they enjoy that most people don't enjoy, and Five Nights at Freddy's is just the newest one. Is the movie any good? Well, kinda. While the movie does struggle a bit with its storytelling, and it's basically a bad horror movie because it's not scary at all, it does do well in anything outside of its story and its horror elements. Its character design is absolutely amazing. The animatronics look perfect for this movie. And while the acting isn't necessarily anything grand or anything special, everyone's doing a good job. Also, for FNAF fans, there's a lot of Easter eggs to look for, so there's a lot of care put into this movie outside of the story. There's a lot of moments in this movie that just kind of feel out of place. Like, William Afton is very much just kind of there, and I think it's a shame because I think Matthew Lillard did a really good job, but his character is basically non-existent in the sense that he just kind of appears. I feel like they just put him in for the sake of putting him in, which is a bit unfortunate. The movie would have worked much better in my opinion if they would have just focused on Five Nights at Freddy's 1, the game, and tell the story around that, like have Mike trying to survive the night, maybe have a little bit of like exposition about William Afton, maybe have some like footage of news reports and stuff of him. I don't want to like come in here and say, oh, if they did this and this, the movie would be better, because I'm not a movie maker, right? I'm not a filmmaker. I don't know anything. I'm just saying what for me personally would have been cooler is if they would have had this like exposition about the children and William Afton, but still have the movie be about Mike trying to not get killed by the robots. But yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs to look for if you're a FNAF fan. Things from like the book named Dream Theory, all the way to cameos and Balloon Boy being everywhere. There's a lot of stuff in this movie to enjoy. So just looking at the critic score, don't feel bad if you like the movie. A lot of people like the movie. You shouldn't really be paying that much attention to the critic and audience score anyway. They're just averages of how many people recommend the film. And critics very much pay attention to the things that this movie is lacking, where fans of the franchise very much pay attention to the stuff that this film does really well, which is Easter eggs and being a fun movie, where critics very much pay attention to how good the story is, how well does it fit in its genre, and stuff like that objectively. They don't really care about it being a franchise. And FNAF doesn't do those things very well. Video game adaptations have come a long way the last few years. Like, Arcane is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and I fucking hate League of Legends. But there's so many good video game adaptations these days, so it's because eventually they did find out eventually that it's better to just make a good movie about the video game than to make an Easter egg fan fest, and that's very much what the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is. It's a fun fest with a bunch of Easter eggs and a narrative that doesn't quite align with the narrative of the games. Now, this is definitely because they borrowed a lot of elements from the books. I saw a lot of people say that they made shit up, but they didn't actually make that much shit up. They did make up the stuff about Vanessa being William Afton's daughter though. A lot of stuff in the movie is taken from the books, the Silver Eyes book, I think. But the objective highlight of the movie, I think, for everyone watching the film, including critics, is the design of the animatronics, and the design of the locations, especially Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The set design and the animatronic designs are absolutely incredible. Would I say that this movie as a whole is peak Five Nights at Freddy's? No, definitely not. I still think that peak Five Nights at Freddy's is those original 4 games. So while I do think this movie isn't necessarily very great, I do think it's really fun. I did really enjoy the movie. And if you're a FNAF fan, you'll probably really like it, including me. I like it. I just don't think it's a very good movie from a movie's perspective. Again, because the story just isn't there. Again, keep in mind the movie is enjoyable. I want to make this as obvious as possible. While I do have things about this movie that I did not enjoy, it is still a fun movie. It's not great, but it's a fun time. Is this one of the better video game movies? Yeah, the standard is pretty low.
Five Nights at Freddy's. That's where